Hi, my name is Jennifer Dior, and I'm professor of flute here at UNC Charlotte. The 11-12 piece for all district is the Mozart Concerto No. 2. I thought I would talk about breathing first. There's definitely issues with breathing. The high D is long, so you got to grab a really big breath at the beginning, and then probably helps to decrescendo for maybe 2.5 measures, and then crescendo the last measure of the high D, and then grab a little catch breath there on the tie, and then finish up the phrase. So that's important, grabbing a really big breath here as well, and then here, what I call catch breaths after this high D, so you can make this phrase without having to breathe. Again, I would play it soft, and then if you have any air left, crescendo, and then grab a catch breath there again and finish the phrase. So those are some breathing difficulties. Another one, if we skip down to here, I'm numbered the measures, so pick up to 65 before this long passage. Again, you really have nowhere to breathe until about here at 68, where you can grab a catch breath. So what you want to do is grab a big breath before the E, and then play pretty soft. And now, depending on how much air you feel you have, if you can crescendo towards the end, that's good. And then grab a little breath. This is a little tricky for breathing up here on the next page. Each eighth note, grab another breath, grab a breath, grab a breath. A lot of breathing is thinking ahead. You have to think ahead. You think, oh, I don't need to breathe, I don't need to breathe. And then you get in the middle of the phrase, you're like, oh my gosh, I should have breathed more. So you need to think ahead as far as the breathing. Here, here, here. Then by the time you get to this breath, you might even want to take a breath there, and then you go in with a full tank, what I like to call a full tank of gas. And then you can make it to here, because the best thing is not to breathe until the F sharp there. And then you finish the phrase, no problems breathing here, until the end, where you do want to have a nice crescendo to finish up. So again, you take a catch breath here, and then even there, and that's your last chance until you get to here, and you grab a catch breath and finish with a nice loud crescendo trill, because that's the last thing they'll hear. So that's breathing. And then let's talk about dynamics. There's really not much written in the part dynamic-wise. So you definitely need to add it. So like I said earlier, on the high D, you want to decrescendo, helps with breathing, and also phrasing, make it interesting because you're just holding one note. Decrescendo, maybe stop the vibrato for a little while, and then add it back in and crescendo. So that makes it interesting. And then a lot of these shorter phrases, like say this 2-bar phrase, you want to do what we call hairpin phrases, or crescendo diminuendos. So dee 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 kind of thing is nice. And then especially in here, if I skip down to measure 50, or da dee da dum bum 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 bum, dee dee da dee da da. Definitely hairpin there. And then if you skip another 2 bars, the same thing there, crescendo diminuendo. Always thinking phrase-wise, dynamics. Where am I going to? Or am I coming back from somewhere? Or these notes pickups? You want a phrase. So dynamics go along with phrasing. Skipping up to the next page, like little forte pianos if you can. Dee dum ba da 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 dee. Not too much, little bites in there. And then here, what I like to do is tiered dynamics, like dee ba be dum ba ba dum ba yatta, and then come way back there, because again that's a little bit of a breathing spot. You can start piano or pianissimo, and then depending on how your air feels, crescendo. Make that a big long crescendo over, say, 3.5 bars. So that's a nice touch if you can do that. But definitely there's more dynamics than are written in the music. Now let's talk about trills. Most people think that in Mozart you want to start the note above, and you also, the rule about trills, if you don't know, is the note above in the key. So for example, here's an E trill, right? You trill E, not to F, but to F sharp, because F sharps are in the key. So if you started on the upper note, it would be, okay, so that's upper note with what I call trill endings. And there's a German word too, Nachschlag, but we'll call them trill endings. So it's a nice touch if instead of just going, if you can do your upper note trill, so the trill ending is down up, basically. So in this case, it would be D, E, and then go to the D that's written. So those are nice touches. You don't have to use trill endings if it's already written there. So for example, this little baby, it's kind of already there. You wouldn't do it twice. and there. But these, it's nice if you want to maybe start on a B or upper note, right? That's an upper note trill. Same there, same there. And then here you're already coming from the E, so it's fine to start on the note, not the note above. I like upper note trills down here at the bottom of the page as well. It's short, no trill endings. Mostly trill endings are for what we call cadence trills or ending cadential trills. For example, the bottom of the page is a definite upper note with trill ending. It's a cadential trill. So here's a B trill. It doesn't go to C, it goes to C sharp because C sharp is in the key. And then the trill ending would be A, B, A. So, and then here I want the measure before. I wanted to point something out. It's an F sharp. Normally it would be to a G trill, but you see how they wrote a sharp above it. Now typically when they write, it means the note you trill to is altered. So you wouldn't trill to a G natural, you would trill to a G sharp. So in this case it's just pinky, F sharp to G sharp, instead of this. Because that's the wrong note you're trilling to. They're telling you to trill to G sharp. Upper note trill ending here, not everybody would do the trill ending, but I think it's a nice touch. So let me play it with and without so you can hear that. Or, if you find it too difficult, it's not the end of the world, but it's a nice touch. So there's that trill, there's that same trill, an octave higher, and then there it is again. So always B's to C sharps, and that's trills. Now let's talk about tempo. You can have a variety of tempos, don't go super fast, but I would say 120 is a nice tempo. That's what I was shooting for. 116 to 124, anywhere in there is good. But if you just can't play it that fast, and you can play it at 110 or 112 with the metronome, that's okay too. Better for it to be clean than faster and just mushy and sloppy. It's always really good to use the metronome to practice. And if you're just having a really hard time playing it fast, don't keep trying to just play it fast. Work on it at whatever speed you can play it well at, and do it all at that speed. Then, if that feels pretty easy, then raise the metronome a few notches. And until you hit a wall where you're like, wow, I really can't play this. Or I can play all of it except this, or all of it except whatever. Work on those spots more. And then once you get good at those spots, then get the whole thing faster. Don't get used to going fast in one part, slow in another part. It's definitely better to practice it all in one tempo. And I really believe in the metronome. You should use the metronome when you practice. It helps you have good rhythm, and not only use it, but listen to the metronome. Don't ignore it. So that's it, really. Good luck. And again, my name is Jennifer Dior, and I teach here at UNC Charlotte. Good luck on your auditions.